Welcome to the LA Insider, the podcast that takes you inside the neighborhoods of Los Angeles through the voices of the people shaping them. I'm your host, Jason Anderson, a real estate agent in LA and your guide to the stories behind the city. Each week I sit down with local entrepreneurs, community leaders, and business owners to uncover what makes their corner of LA special, from hidden gems to big ideas and neighborhood-changing insights. We'll also explore the path to success that brought each of my guests to where they are today, their challenges, wins, and the lessons they've learned along the way. Whether you're exploring where to live, grow a business, or just want to understand the real LA, this show is for you. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the LA Insider. Today we're spotlighting another incredible person who's making a huge impact in his industry. Let's dive into his story. Today, our guest is Dr. Djelani Hamm, a Los Angeles-based educator, artist, and cultural guide dedicated to inspirational transformation through creativity, heritage, and restorative practices. He's got a Ph.D. in world arts and cultures from UCLA, and he spent decades in LA communities as an educational specialist and program leader. He has a Ph.D. in world arts and cultures from UCLA, and he spent, I messed that up. I'll start that part over. With a Ph.D. in world arts and cultures from UCLA, he spent decades serving LA communities as an education specialist and program leader. Through Djelani Hamm Coaching, he leads cultural immersion journeys to West Africa and supports individuals seeking purpose, healing, and deeper ancestral connection. Welcome, Djelani.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining. I'd like to start off by asking you about your journey. So where did you start? What did you do after you graduated from high school?
I graduated from high school. I came to California. I grew up in a small country town in Northeast Georgia. And so it was always my dream to come to California. I had visited once before in high school, and so I really wanted to return. I came to California, Northern California, University of the Pacific, and I studied music. And after graduation from University of the Pacific, I moved to LA, and I was pursuing acting. I did a master's in theater and a master's in film producing. And very early on, as I was struggling as an actor, my mom said to me, "Well, you like kids, so why don't you substitute teach?" And so about 40 years ago, I started as a substitute teacher, and I never intended to stay in education. I always had the desire to leave at the end of the year, but somehow it managed to be over the span of 40 years. And so with the creative parts, there were times when I found myself really, really stuck. And so I discovered traveling about 20 years ago. My first big international trip was to France and to Paris. And I traveled around several countries by myself, and that was the start of an addiction. I went to Dachau concentration camp once, and I thought, wow, I wish there were a place where African Americans could go to sort of have this kind of transformational cathartic healing like this concentration camp. And someone told me about a place off the coast of Senegal, Gorée Island. And so for a few years, when I would go to Europe, I'd try to get to Gorée Island. And I finally went there, and it was just this transformational point in my life where so much change started happening. Um, I wanted to go to this place that I had seen on television where African Americans go and they kind of break down and cry, and they walk around this little building, touching the walls and really feeling the spirits. I saw a African American gentleman on CNN, and he just broke down and cried when he got there. So I wanted something like that, and so I went to this little house. It's a special little house. Bill Clinton was the first president who visited Africa as a sitting president. So he went to this little house, took pictures. The next president, George W. Bush, went there, took pictures. Barack and Michelle Obama went there, took pictures. So I was just really excited to be there, wanting to have this great experience. And when I went into the little house, I really didn't feel those things. And so I was really disappointed. And Gorée Island is a tiny little island off the city of Dakar, Senegal. So I went to the top of a hill, and at the top of a hill, there's an artist, Khalil, and Khalil makes art from little scraps of materials from around the island. And so I said to myself, I think I'll just get this as a reminder and to as a memento to my taking some of Goree Island back with me. And just as I was buying the little plaque, like something went off into my head and it said, "You think your life is broken. You think you're stuck. But your job is to take all those broken pieces and to make your life a work of art." And that was just really transformational for me. And from that point on, I started just my healing process and knowing that I wasn't really stuck, that life was trying to arrange itself so that I could be the gift that I'm supposed to be, and I'm still working on that one. And so from, traveling, I went to Senegal several years, and so I wanted to experience more of Africa. So I went to about East Africa to 4 countries in East Africa the next couple of years. But I missed Senegal because it's such a special place. So I went back, and so I'm actually going on Thursday. This will be my 21st trip to Senegal. And so in total, I've traveled to about 20 or so countries across the continent of Africa. And so through all of my traveling, I decided also that I wanted to have a different purview of how I look at things. And so I went back and got a PhD in world arts and culture. So just giving me a different lens at how I looked at the world. And so over the years, I've also helped other people to change their purview and to look through different lenses to move on with their lives and to be the gifts that they are because LA is such a dynamic and creative city, but it can be tough also. And, people get stuck and they don't know how to move out of their way to really reveal their gifts and their talents. So the World Arts and Cultures degree really helped with that. And then also, I needed to pay the rent, and so I always stayed in education, and it got to the point where I actually really liked working with young adults, and I started working in restorative justice. So really working on different approaches for working with children, so that children could have a transformative experience. So that's kind of with a lot of words. That's kind of my experience.
And for those of us who aren't familiar, where is Senegal?
Senegal is the most western country in Africa. So Africa is kind of shaped with a little chunk that's like sticking out towards the west. That's Senegal.
At the top or the bottom?
The top. Uh, so below Morocco, Mauritania, then Senegal.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. So not too far really from Spain even.
Well, it's quite a distance from Spain, but Morocco's right there, which I've spent a lot of time in Morocco. So that's a big chunk of land. So I'd say it's in the top third of the continent.
Okay. And then for people who might want to go on a journey like this with you, I know you're going on one this Thursday, but maybe like the next one. Can you tell us a little bit about what these entail, like how long it is, where you go, how they sign up, and all that good stuff?
Right. Yeah. So a lot of people will go to Senegal and they'll go to the capital city, which is Dakar. Dakar is a very special city. It's very big. It's busy. Dakar is a city that is known for its art. The creativity is out of this world. It's also known for its fashion. Many years ago, I would see African American women who would dress up for Black History Month, and I always rolled my eyes, thinking people don't dress like that in West Africa, but getting to Senegal, every single woman is going to go out with a matching head wrap and robe. Fashion is something that's very important. There's a Dakar Fashion Week that people come from all around the world just for the creativity in general, because just like the art where people make things from scraps, life can be hard in some places. And so they turn used cars and, old metals into something that's functional or artistic. And so people will go to the capital Dakar, or they'll go to Goree Island, but they don't see the other parts. And so on my journey, I like to take a 2-week trip. And so we travel to the southern region, which is called Casamance.
Mhm.
Casamance is very important because it's very, very traditional practices. Senegal is special in that it is 95% Muslim, but also about 5 or 6% Catholic. And so actually the first president in the once after colonization, the first 2 or 3 presidents were Catholic. So the respect for diverse religions is very apparent.
Mhm.
So going down to the southern region, these are villages, and people practice the very, very traditional ways of life. And so, as far as African Americans, this is a really important region, or for Americans alone, because this is a region where rice comes from. When the Africans were enslaved and they came to South Carolina, the colonizers were starving, but the Africans, they noticed they were eating because there was a woman who had placed rice into her hair. And so they planted the rice, and at one point, rice was the second largest export um, from the United States. It's called black gold, or yes, black gold after cotton. And so rice helped to transform. So it comes directly from this region of Casamance. So we go down to this region. Music is incredible, rituals. So I like to take people there just to see the relationship of men and women, and how the function of women and men operates, and how the machine of gender operates in this region. So it's always very engaging. The food is incredible. The colors throughout Senegal is just out of this world.
Mhm.
You'll never see two people who are dressed the same, because you'll go to the fabric store, get your cloth, take it to your local tailor, and he or she will fashion something for you. So diversity of fashion and color is amazing.
And how many people would go on a trip like this with you?
Yes, I prefer smaller groups, like no more than 20 or 25 people, because I like the engagement of just learning the different traditions, learning how the societies are structured. Here, we're more accustomed to top-down societies, hierarchical societies. There, it's more horizontal, so lots of circular structures. You go to the villages, and there's still a big drum in the center of the village where they'll bang the drum in a certain rhythm, and they're saying, "Oh, someone in the village has died," or "A baby is born," or "We need to have a wisdom circle," or "An elephant is out." Whatever the drum is dictating. So these are very, very traditional regions. So about 25 people, we can have those discussions. We can talk about things like the transatlantic slave trade of enslaved humans.
Mhm. And I know you have one coming up soon, but when would the next one be for people who might want to join on that one?
Yes, there's a possibility I will take one in the springtime, and then I'm definitely taking a group in the summer, in
Okay.
late June.
And so how does it work? Do you guys have direct flights there from Los Angeles?
From Los Angeles, you can fly to New York and to Dakar, but that's the one I'm taking this Thursday. But generally, I like to fly and stop in Paris. That's
Uh,
just a little easier. And so on the return flight, I'll stay in Paris. I've been to Senegal 21 times, but I've been to Paris 31 times. So
I love
I love Paris. Yes.
how fun. So could people in the group do the little Paris add-on if they wanted to join you in
Right.
Paris?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, great, great. That sounds like a lot of fun. So of course, at the bottom of your screen, you're going to see ways to get in touch with Jelani to sign up for his next one, or find out about the different things that he's working on. And another thing I like to do is ask you about your neighborhood in Los Angeles. And would you mind sharing what part of LA that you connect to?
Currently, I live in the Fairfax Museum area. I live a few blocks from LACMA, so it's a great neighborhood. I love coming home, especially on a Friday, parking the car and not driving the whole weekend. Just walking to the grocery stores. I can walk to Trader Joe's. I can walk up to the Grove. I can several different restaurants on Wilshire. I can walk to. Can walk to LACMA or the Motion Picture Museum. So
Yeah,
it's a
a
great
lot of
neighborhood.
building going on there, it seems like.
Lots of, yeah, with the new museum that's soon. I think it will open within the next 6 months, I believe.
I hope so. It looks like there's like an overpass over
Yes.
Wilshire. Yeah,
Yes.
very, very, it looks really nice. So you like that area, Museum Row, I think they call it,
Yes.
on Wilshire. And then you mentioned Fairfax, that's Little Ethiopia area.
Right. A little bit further down is Little Ethiopia, and just amazing Ethiopian restaurants. Lots of different choices to choose from in terms of Ethiopian food. I'd say the greater neighborhood is pretty diverse.
Mhm.
Um, the Museum Row is filled with all kinds of people. And then, just so many different experiences coming through the museums almost nightly.
So you would recommend it to people who are maybe relocating from another state or city to Los Angeles, that neighborhood?
Definitely. Definitely. Very safe area.
That's really important. Safe. And you mentioned it's kind of central to a lot of things.
Central to a lot. I can get to UCLA, I can get downtown, I can get to, the freeways centrally. So
That's
yes.
that's super important because, we are very car dependent here.
Yes. But the rail line should be opening very soon also. So there's a subway down the street.
That's right. So La Brea and Wilshire, I think, is that going to be a stop?
La Brea and Wilshire is a stop, and Fairfax and Wilshire is a stop.
Oh, that's like right in your neighborhood. You're going to be so
Yeah.
happy.
I love trains, so yeah.
And that may connect to the airport at some point, I think.
I think you'll have to go downtown, and then from downtown you can connect to the airport.
Okay. That's exciting.
That's exciting. That's very exciting.
Yeah. Well, Djelani, I really want to thank you for joining us today and thank you for sharing us your history, how you came up with your business idea and bringing people to Senegal to visit that they may have never even heard of. So it's a way for them to maybe have a spiritual awakening and just really exciting stuff you're doing.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And then to those of you watching, we would like you to like, comment, share. If you liked what we talked about today, hit subscribe. That helps the channel to grow. And I'm Jason, and I'll see you next time on the LA Insider.
Thank you for tuning in to the LA Insider. I hope today's conversation gave you a deeper look into the people and neighborhoods that make Los Angeles so dynamic. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who loves LA just as much as you do. I'm Jason, and I'll be back next week with another inspiring guest and more stories from the heart of the city. Until then, stay curious, stay connected, and keep exploring LA.